G'day, thanks to the Bee Industry Council of Western Australia for inviting me to talk to you today about our new way of transporting our beehives that we've been doing for about 17, 18 years. My name's Lindsay and I'm the owner and managing director of Warrell Malden. Been beekeeping myself for nearly 30 years full time. So that's me before and after photo. And in the background there of me as a toddler, you can see a forklift trailer that Dad built. Dad was one of the early beekeepers to go to forklift pallets in Victoria. So a bit of a proud history of innovation. And that's me proudly at the front of our new purpose-built factory in Malden, Victoria. This range of photos here are just a few snapshots over the years in no particular order. Up the top left, we've got our old Bedford that Dad brought new back in the 60s, towing a forklift with bees. Across from that one, we've got Dad loading a load of bees in the desert with a Land Rover forklift. Underneath that, we've got my son Teague, who is getting ready to unload bees on the spotted gum in 2009. And next to him is me when I was a cordial drinker at Appomondia in Adelaide in the late 70s. And underneath that is our most recent truck, the twin steer Beeliner Mark II with the mesh curtains that have proved to be really good. And yeah, I hope to tell you a lot about that today. And the bottom left is late 90s moving on to red gum. So yeah, that's a bit of a montage of how it's been and how we've sort of progressed a little bit through the years. Warrell Malden today, we've got a few things going on. We've got pollination. We do almond pollination up near Robinvale. This year we're doing 3,000 hives of our own. Next, after that, we're going to pollinate canola seed with 2,000 hives. So pollination is becoming a very big part of our operation. We supply a lot of manufacturing honey to large global food standard companies, which we need the BRC global food standard for that one. And we've got an online store. We supply distributors. We've got a gift shop that I'm currently sitting in, and we're selling to retailers. So there's a little bit going on. We employ about 9 people full time. Yeah, so very tight knit team here at Warrell Malden. So the bane of the beekeeper, transporting hives, I think most of you would agree that that's one of the most challenging tasks of beekeeping. And here we've got an old photo of Dad's Flintstone Cab Mac that was back in the 80s. They're all stickies loaded up, ready to go to a big Patterson's Curse flow back in the good old days. Yeah, so what I'm about to share is just my way of trying to make this job just that bit easier. I certainly find that, you know, apart from keeping good queens and good healthy bees, shifting bees and bee boxes around is certainly one of the most challenging tasks. So the evolution of our solution over the years, we first brought the refrigerated curtain sided body back in 2004. We put a Thermo King on it. It's a fully insulated curtain sided body. So the roof, the underfloor, the front and rear door, front and rear walls, the curtains are insulated. And then we progressed to introduce more airflow for the bees, more fresh air. I did do a bit of research back then into how they were carting one-day-old chicks, and they basically had pipes through the body of the truck that distributed the air virtually directly to the chicks in the cages in the truck. So the big thing about, I believe, the big thing about bees or livestock or even humans is that it's all about airflow. It's not just temperature, it's all about airflow, and it's all about oxygen getting to the bees. So we progressed to get a new truck in 2009. So we moved the refrigerated body onto the Bogie Drive Honey Joy truck and continued to shift bees and keep bees utilising this system. And yeah, a couple of years ago, nearly, we brought the new twin steer truck, which I did some thinking and did some research and decided to move away from the Thermo King option, which is a lot more expensive up front and is also adds, you know, maintenance and extra pay, reduces your payload to the truck. So I decided to go down the mesh curtain path with that truck, and that's proven to be exceptionally good. So much so that we put mesh curtains on Honey Joy as well. So with Honey Joy, we've got the option of either. The twin steer, we've got standard solid curtains and it's not refrigerated. The other thing worth noting here is that this has been, you know, a bit of a journey. I've done it, you know, without any other beekeepers to really collaborate with. So I knew about the mesh curtains, or there was a mesh curtain option even way back when we got the first truck. But I guess I just was learning as we went, and I never quite got to that stage until a couple of years ago. So that's really what I'm trying to do today, and that's pass on what my knowledge is, how we're doing it now, and hope that yeah, a few of you beekeepers might be interested in taking it up yourself, doing something similar. So now we'll unpack a bit more about what works for my bees, my beekeepers, my business, and the public. So this photo here is a load of singles in the middle of summer, just loaded and pulled out of the river, Red Gum River country, and stopped at a service station. So you can see they're all happily sitting in there. I don't have to worry about lights, going to lights and annoying the public. So how the solution works, how does it work for the bees? Well, with the mesh curtains in particular, but I'm sure that with a refrigerated body, you can certainly ensure that they've got a lot of fresh air coming through. We've proved that with Honey Joy and the vents front and back. So the bees are really finding these mesh curtains quite easy. We've done hot shifts where we've done some of the trip in the morning and in sort of late summer, early autumn, and just got to the bees got to the site about 8:30 in the morning. The winter shift, so I was getting to the site around 9:30. So it just creates a lot more options, and the bees are stress-free. So the other thing I believe, and this is my little opinion, and that is that I think the mesh curtains are good because the bees, it keeps them connected to the outside. So one thing I find a little bit with the solid curtains, it's pitch black in there, which is a good thing. But if the bees are hot or bothered, being pitch black, they sort of come out and sort of crawl out a bit more in the darkness. The other thing worth noting is that we've got the pallets are locked in with our custom size pallets. So the pallets are all 1185 millimeter long pallets. So we've got two across with our hive pallets, and they lock in really nicely in the 2400 standard width tray. So, and the other thing you can see with these photos, and this is something that I highly recommend if you're going to do this, and that is that all the bees and the gates and the bees, as in the beehives, everything's locked in really tight. So there's no movement. You don't want any banging. You don't want hives rocking, because that will just encourage the bees to come out and try to fill that gap where there's movement. And then once they start doing that, you often start get bees squashed between rocking pallets and gates and things. So how does it work for us beekeepers? So my dad taught me that options are king in beekeeping. So it creates more options for the beekeeper, less concern for bees or hive lids flying off for the beekeepers, and creates like a shed on wheels. Basically, it's a very workable tool for collecting honey supers from hives. It's certainly that alone, to be able to go out and remove honey, take stickies, have a forklift on the ground, you can have a very workable situation where you can pull honey and keep the stickies covered up, and just works exceptionally well. And yeah, like I said earlier, the other really good thing is it's creating a lot of options where we're shifting the last part of the shift early morning, or we're doing we're dropping the truck back at work and other beekeepers are taking it on from work, depending on logistics, of course. So it's creating options which are very beneficial. And further on for the business, and again, it helps manage staff workloads better. This photo here is us unloading on canola seed pollination. These bees came direct from almond pollination. That morning we unloaded 4 truckloads and dropped them all around the canola seed in pallets of 6, and finished about 11:30. So we did it with our 3 trucks, of which one was the tray truck. So we did that first, and then we proceeded to do the other 2 after that. Certainly allows us to present to our pollination clients in an orderly, professional manner, which they really appreciate. And it's a great biosecurity management tool. So certainly ticks all the boxes for BICWACON, keeping your load covered, keeping your stickies covered, and so forth. How the solution works for the public? Well, basically the seed was sowed for me back in 2003. I wanted to do something a bit better. I was a little bit concerned about the bees either flying off the truck or in hot weather, like moving off red gum with strong bees. Often us Victorians, we're on the Murray River, and we'll load up and then head through a river town, and if it's hot weather and there's strong bees, you often have a few hanging off the rope rails and things. So that was I just sort of got to a point where I didn't want to get another trade truck. I needed to go down this path, and that's that was a big driver. So and the bees safely tucked away in there. So this photo is actually showing the mist sprays working. That's on a river red gum flow. So you can actually possibly pick up that there's water coming out of the mist sprays in the roof there. And that's certainly another aspect of what we're doing. We've got 12-volt water pumps on both trucks that can pump water up at the flick of the switch from the cab. While you're driving along, you can wet the bees down. We've also installed a fine mist spray that is piggybacked off these water lines here. So we've got the option of wet the bees down quick, and then we've got the option of keep the atmosphere and the bees moist with that ultra fine mist spray, which creates that evaporative cooling effect, and that's working exceptionally well. So if you're thinking of doing something similar, I'm here to help. I won't be going back to the old way. I'm interested in moving the industry forward, and the organisers there have a few copies of a spec sheet that we've done up for you. So you can contact the organisers, or you can contact us directly if you wish. That's detailing a little bit more about what I've talked about today. It talks about the pumps and the water sprays, the model Thermo King that's on Honeyjoy, the size vents on the trucks front and back. Yeah, so I recommend that you pick up one of those if you're interested. And yeah, I'm really excited by other beekeepers taking this on. Yeah, there's a few on the East Coast that I've been talking to, and there's yeah, I believe there's a couple of beekeepers over here that are going to do it too. So that's really exciting to see. And yeah, I'd like to thank you all very much. Sorry I couldn't make it. We held off as long as we could, but now when you're listening to this presentation, hopefully I'm up Queensland. I believe they'll have me. So sorry I couldn't make it over there. I've never been to WA and really hope to get there one day. So thanks again for the opportunity, and yeah, feel free to call out if you want to ask any questions. Thanks very much.